Hello and welcome to my video on performance-based assessments. Let's get into what they are for, their benefits, and the different types. And let's jump right in. First, we'll talk about the definition of performance-based assessments, which are also known as authentic learning and authentic performance assessments. The definition being the documentation and analysis of a student's actual work collected over time in his or her real-world environment. This is important. The real-world environment is essentially saying to not interrupt the child's normal day, to make them sit down and take a test and know that they are being tested, because anybody that's ever experienced testing anxiety knows that that can change the results and it might not give the true results of what the child actually knows or is capable of. Performance assessments really are not tests the way that we think of tests. They are more along the lines of figuring out what a child is capable of right now. Performance assessments ask the child to perform some action or activity that demonstrates understanding and application. And I know what you're thinking. Couldn't your standard paper and pencil test also fall under a performance assessment? And you could say that, but no. Often those are looking at plain memory, just what the child has memorized. But just because a child remembers words that were spoken to them does not mean that they actually understand the concept, and it does not necessarily mean that they understand how to apply that information to a novel situation. Which brings us right into the next topic, which is what is the purpose of performance-based assessments? Well, the purpose of these assessments is to measure what the child can do or apply in addition to what they know. Where most tests are just trying to figure out what the child has memorized, performance assessments are trying to see how the child uses the knowledge they have while completing a task or solving a problem that is relevant to the desired learning. The results of these assessments are then to be used by the teacher to help make decisions on further instruction. There are many different types of performance assessments, and we're going to go over a few. One type of an assessment could be an interview, a conversation, talk to the child, ask them questions about the topic. You could also ask the child to do a task that's relevant to the topic, and then ask the child to explain themselves as they're completing the task. Another way is contracts or an agreement between the child and the teacher. The agreement being that the child is going to engage in a certain activity or activities over the course of a set amount of time. These work best if there is some sort of a checklist where the child can finish the task and see that it's done and see that the teacher sees that it's done, like sticker charts or literal checklists. Directed assignments are another form, and they are when a teacher asks a child to perform a specific task, but the teacher is not asking any questions or giving any direction, just letting the child do the task on their own while the teacher observes to see how the child does it or if they can finish it. Games are another way, especially if you need to assess more than one child at a time. If you just grab a game that has something to do with the concept that you're testing for, you can sit the children down to play the game and monitor all of them and see who understands the concept better and who might need some more help. Work samples are a great means of performance assessments. The children are doing the work anyway, so as the teacher, you're going to keep all of the physical, tangible work or record or photograph them as they're doing things. And a teacher can start a new unit, whatever the new unit is going to be, and have the children do a similar task at the beginning, at the middle, and at the end. And when you collect all of these samples, you can clearly see, okay, this is what the child understood about the concept in the beginning. This is how much they understood in the middle, and this is how much they understand now that the unit is over. And it's a clear show of progression of how much they got out of that unit. Projects is another part of a performance assessment, or another type of a performance assessment that allows the child to work on one task over a longer amount of time. So it's like the flip of work samples, where it's several tasks on one topic. It's going to be one topic or one task that has to do with the whole topic over several days usually. The point is for children to work on this project the whole time during the whole unit, and at the end they have something to show for it that shows everything that they have learned. And our last one that we're going to talk about is portfolios. And this has more to do with the teacher than it does with the students. But a portfolio is going to be a teacher accumulating work samples, observation notes, photos and videos, checklists, anecdotal records, anything that the teacher has done or gathered or used to monitor the learning and development of the children in their care, and compiling it all together in one space, and then using that to look at how the child has progressed, what they've learned, what they're capable of, because you can see it from beginning to end, whatever the end point is, whether it's a few weeks or half the year or the whole year. Now we're going to talk about the advantages of doing these types of assessments, especially in early childhood. Advantages of performance-based assessments. These are particularly useful with young children who are not capable of standard testing. Very young, preschool, kindergarten, maybe even first graders are not going to be as capable to sit down and just answer questions on a piece of paper. And it is helpful for this demographic because it measures progress as well as achievement. So it's not focusing so much on a pass or fail type of mentality. It's saying, what have you learned? What do you understand so far? This is important, which is an important piece of information to keep steadily accumulating over time, over the year, because early childhood is absolutely ripe with rapid development, rapid change. Little children are learning so much every day, and their cognitive and physical and social and emotional development is changing constantly. So these types of assessments are ideal for keeping track of all of these many changes. It's also a wonderful way to assess children because it demands that assessments be integrally related to the instruction and not something that is unrelated or unfamiliar to the child. And finally, these types of assessments are key to evaluating whether or not a program is meeting the children's needs. It shows teachers and program directors if the program is giving children what they need to grow and thrive. Because if at the end of a chunk of time, you look at all of the assessments for an entire classroom or an entire program and there is a lot of children that are struggling, then obviously things need to change. And that about sums up my video on performance-based assessments. I hope this was helpful to you, and thank you for watching.